Deep Rock Galactic Survivor is a single-player spin-off of the cooperative game Deep Rock Galactic, developed by Funday Games and published by Ghost Ship Publishing, focusing on survival mechanics and auto-shooting in the alien-infested space mining universe. The project emerged as a roguelite variation of the original title, adapting elements like dwarf classes, weapons, and enemies for a solo experience, where the player faces hordes while mining resources on Hox's 4. Initially released in early access on February 13, 2024 on Steam, the game was designed to balance roguelike chaos with strategic progression, inspired by successes like Vampire Survivors, but with the unique charm of the Deep Rock Galactic franchise. During early access development, Funday Games prioritized updates based on community feedback, introducing systems like masteries, mutators, and lethal operations to increase replayability and encourage experimentation with character builds. The game sold over 1 million copies during this period, establishing itself as an independent success and exceeding initial expectations as a side project to the original. Post-launch statistics revealed by Ghost Ship Publishing and Funday Games highlight player engagement, with emphasis on long-term progression and class customization, which influenced continuous refinements in difficulty balance and mining mechanics. One of the most significant updates was the introduction of the gear system, designed to give players more control over dwarf development, with categories like armors, weapon mods, canisters, gadgets, tools, and chips, allowing upgrades and peculiarities that alter gameplay. Anders Leicht Rode, creative director and co-founder of Funday Games, explained that the goal was to balance the chaos of roguelike runs with consistent progression, encouraging experimentation without penalties, such as dismantling unwanted equipment to obtain materials. This system was developed to set the stage for the full release, addressing demands for greater strategic depth. Scheduled to exit early access on September 17, 2025 with version 1.0, the development culminates in the addition of the gear system as a centerpiece, expanding customization with items of varying rarities and bonuses like critical damage and artifact rerolls. This transition marks the maturation of the title, with Funday Games emphasizing infinite replayability and integration of mechanics that reward progression between runs, solidifying Deep Rock Galactic Survivor as a standalone and successful spin-off. In the universe of Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, the narrative unfolds under the aegis of the greedy intergalactic corporation that gives the game its name. Deep Rock Galactic, known for its relentless pursuit of mineral riches, established its operations on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, Hox's 4. This planet, although abundant in valuable ores and rare gems, is also home to hostile ecosystems and an unrelenting alien fauna, composed of hordes of monstrous creatures that fiercely defend their underground territory. The corporation, indifferent to the dangers, employs a robust and disposable workforce to extract these riches. It is in this scenario that the space dwarves come in, hardened miners and warriors, who form the backbone of Deep Rock Galactic's operations. Attracted by the promise of great rewards and the thrill of the challenge, these dwarves are sent on dangerous missions into the depths of Hox's 4. Equipped with advanced mining technology and a formidable arsenal, they face the darkness, danger, and creatures that inhabit it, all in the name of corporate profit and the pride of a job well done, encapsulated in their battle cry, Rock and Stone. Unlike the traditional team operations seen in the main game, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor focuses on a darker and more isolated premise. The story here centers on a single dwarf sent on a solo mission. This approach suggests a high-risk operation, where resource extraction in a particularly infested area, or the recovery of lost technology, justifies sending a single specialist, or perhaps the corporation, is testing new automated combat systems, where the dwarf serves as a lone field operator. Isolated in the labyrinthine and fully destructible caves of Hox's 4, the surviving dwarf must rely on his equipment and improvisation skills to withstand incessant waves of alien adversaries. The narrative of each incursion is a desperate struggle for survival, where the main objective is to complete the mission goals, whether mining a specific quota of minerals, collecting alien eggs, or rescuing lost equipment, while upgrading his arsenal in real time to deal with increasingly larger threats emerging from the shadows. The conclusion of each mission represents a small victory in the ongoing war for resources. But the lone dwarf's story is cyclical. Each successful descent allows the miner to return to the safety of the space station, only to use his earnings to improve his weapons and skills, preparing for the next dive into an even deeper and more dangerous corner of the planet. The Survivor's saga is, therefore, a chronicle of resistance and perseverance, a testament to the tenacity of a dwarf against an entire planet that wishes to consume him. The gameplay fits into the auto-shooter or bullet heaven genre with a top-down perspective. The player's direct control is limited to the dwarf's movement and aiming of some specific weapons, while firing from most of the arsenal is automatic, targeting the nearest enemies. The central cycle consists of defeating growing hordes of alien insects, which upon dying, leave behind experience gems. Collecting these gems fills a level bar, and with each new level achieved, the player chooses from 3 or 4 random upgrade options, which can be new weapons, enhancements to existing ones, or passive bonuses. Each of the available dwarf classes, Scout, Gunner, Engineer, and Driller, defines the initial playstyle. Each class starts with a unique and innate primary weapon that cannot be swapped and directly influences the combat approach. The Scout, for example, has high mobility, while the Gunner stands out for raw firepower. As the player progresses in the match, they acquire an arsenal of up to 5 other weapons, plus passive upgrades, allowing for the creation of synergies and varied builds. Choosing the right weapons and passives to face the challenges of each phase is a fundamental strategic component. The game's differentiator compared to others in the same genre is the incorporation of objectives and mining mechanics. In addition to surviving, the player needs to use their pickaxe to excavate rock walls and collect resources like gold and nitra. Gold is used to buy permanent upgrades between matches, while nitra can be spent during the mission to call in supplies or gain other tactical advantages. Missions also feature main objectives, such as collecting alien eggs or eliminating specific targets, requiring the player to balance survival with task completion. The structure of a match, or dive, is divided into multiple stages, each with increasing difficulty. In each stage, the player must complete the main objective to call the extraction pod. After the call, a countdown begins during which it is necessary to survive an intense wave of enemies while heading to the extraction point. The end of each stage usually culminates in a boss confrontation, an elite version of an enemy with more health and more complex attack patterns, serving as a test for the build assembled by the player up to that point. The meta progression system is what drives replayability. Resources and credits obtained during successful missions are carried to the main lobby. In this location, the player can spend them to unlock new weapons, artifacts, permanent upgrades for all classes, such as increased damage, health, movement speed, and luck, and new equipment options. This cycle of performing dives to obtain resources, permanently strengthening the character, and then facing higher difficulty levels forms the long-term structure of the game. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor adopts a visual style that faithfully preserves the graphical identity established by the main franchise, maintaining the characteristic polygonal aesthetic that combines low-poly elements with detailed textures and a vibrant, contrasting color palette. The game uses a visual approach that prioritizes clarity and readability during frantic gameplay, employing saturated tones that facilitate quick identification of important elements like collectible resources, the characteristic red of nitra, the shiny gold of gold, and the deep blues of alien underground environments. This artistic choice not only maintains coherence with the Deep Rock Galactic universe, but also ensures that players can quickly distinguish between different types of enemies, resources, and interactive elements even during the most chaotic moments of gameplay, when hundreds of hostile creatures fill the screen simultaneously. The game's technical requirements reveal a development philosophy focused on accessibility, requiring relatively modest hardware with a GeForce GTX 1050 or similar, 8 GB of RAM, and an Intel i5-44590 processor, specifications that demonstrate the developer's commitment to making the game playable on a wide range of hardware configurations. This approach allows players with older or entry-level systems to enjoy the full experience, although optimization still presents challenges in certain situations. The game runs natively on Windows 10, and its engine was developed to maximize performance even when there are hundreds of elements on screen simultaneously, from projectiles and particle effects to enemies and environmental debris resulting from terrain destruction, a particularly important technical feature considering the bullet hell nature of the gameplay. Despite the modest requirements, the game faces some significant performance challenges that directly affect the visual experience, with users reporting consistent difficulties in maintaining stable frame rates of 60 FPS, often experiencing drops to the 30 to 40 FPS range that result in noticeable stuttering and frame time inconsistencies. These performance issues seem particularly related to certain operating system updates and specific hardware configurations, suggesting that optimization still requires significant refinement, especially considering it's a game that relies heavily on quick reflexes and precise timing during intense combat moments against hordes. Performance fluctuations become more pronounced during sequences with high enemy density on screen. Moments when visual effects, damage particles, and explosions accumulate, creating bottlenecks that compromise both visual fluidity and control responsiveness. The environmental design follows the standards established by the original game, presenting highly detailed and fully destructible underground caves, a technical and visual feature that adds significant layers of complexity to both graphics and gameplay. The environments are rendered with a dynamic lighting system that creates convincing atmospheres through plays of light and shadow, using procedural light sources that react to terrain modifications made by the player during mining. The 3 currently available biomes present distinct visual variations, each with its own color palette, types of rock formations, native creatures, and unique environmental effects, creating visual diversity that maintains player interest through different progression phases. For those considering buying the final version, it's worth highlighting that the game shines in its ability to blend simplicity with depth, making it ideal for those seeking a relaxing yet challenging solo experience, where the focus isn't just on auto-shooting, but on planning mining routes to collect rare minerals, completing secondary objectives, and surviving growing waves of enemies, which adds a tactical touch absent in many titles of the genre. The game is a solid option for players who appreciate the satisfaction of powerful builds, like turning the driller into a lethal excavation machine or the gunner into a bullet tank, all wrapped in visuals faithful to the original Deep Rock Galactic, with impactful sound effects and soundtracks that evoke the fun chaos of the mines. So, if you've already invested time in games like Holocure or the original Deep Rock Galactic and want a polished, single-player variation, this final version justifies the price for its longevity and replay factor, without requiring excessive grinding to progress. Deep Rock Galactic Survivor in its final form is particularly recommended for fans of the survivor-like genre who want something more substantial than just infinite waves of enemies, especially those who value the integration of mining and exploration mechanics in a roguelite format, creating hybrid gameplay that rewards both quick action and strategic planning, like digging tunnels to funnel enemies or using upgrades to snowball in higher levels. Players who enjoyed the humor and lore of the original Deep Rock Galactic will find here a charming extension with energetic dwarf dialogues and community references, but without the need for multiplayer, making it perfect for short or long solo sessions. Ideal for those with tight schedules but wanting a dose of adrenaline. However, if you prefer cooperative experiences or avoid games with luck elements and upgrades, the game may not be ideal for you. If you're new to the Deep Rock universe and prefer deep narratives or complex mechanics beyond the survival loop, it might be better to test a demo first. But for most seeking accessible and addictive fun, the game in its final form is an interesting recommendation worth buying at launch. Well, that was the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you next time.
This one!
One crate of goodies on the way, miner. This is growing out of hand. Get it done, miner.
It's a little old, but it'll do the job.
Well done. Objective completed. Drop pod has arrived. Get there now. It will leave without you.
I'm getting